Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers, and I'm looking this morning at a book from Informa. It's the Lloyd's Shipping Law Library series, and it's this book here. There's the spine of it. It's London Maritime Arbitration, now in a third edition, by Clare, Ambrose and Karen Maxwell, and the consulting editor is Bruce Harris. The book is very much in keeping with the work we get from Informa. Very detailed chapters, not paragraphed the way other books are, lots of cases, and then you've got a lot of detailed footnotes at the bottom which are extremely helpful. And about 2/3 of the way through you start having the appendices, which look at specific terms. I quite like the small claims procedure area, which I thought was quite important. And when you get to the back, you've then got a useful and again quite detailed index. It's about 600 pages altogether, just over. It's a heavy book, but very much in keeping with the Law Library shipping series. There's a Flickr review written by my wife Elizabeth and myself, and it's on the internet. We've given it the title, From Lloyd's Shipping Law Library, an indispensable reference for all involved in maritime arbitration in London, and that's exactly what it is. Now, quote, "No one involved in our business should be without it," says Bruce Harris, who's the consulting editor of this third and latest edition of London Maritime Arbitration. Having presided over the publication in 2002 of the second edition of the work, Harris and the authors Ambrose and Maxwell, who also co-authored the second edition, are predictably aware of the amazing number of changes and developments that have impacted on London maritime arbitration in almost 9 years since the second edition was published. Of course, it is the hub of what we do in London. For example, there are new versions of the LMAA terms and the small claims procedure, which I showed earlier, and they've been introduced, and there's a special emphasis in this edition on the LMAA intermediate claims procedure in 2009 for medium-sized claims, which I think again is helpful during this economic downturn. Also of importance of mediation in maritime disputes has been the increase dramatically in this particular area of what happens. So an entirely new chapter covering it has been included, and I think it's important to remember that mediation is very much here to stay and something all the judges from the top to the bottom want. So this is indeed, as the authors point out, a concise guide to maritime arbitration, and specifically arbitration on LMAA terms, and the wealth of material therein covers everything from the Standard Act, the Arbitration Act, and mediation and arbitration, to the arbiter, arbitration awards, arbitrators' fees and expenses and costs, and of course much more. And I think the costs, which is chapter 20, is particularly important. I probably can't find it at the moment, but I do think that that is one area, together with things like confidentiality in arbitration, which is again an important area. So each of the 23 chapters has been substantially rewritten by the team since the last edition, and is very logically structured, with an introduction and an individual table of contents for clarity and guidance. There are the standard tables of cases which I've shown you, plus the legislation and so forth, together with no less than 12 appendices, about 2/3 of the way through the book, the last of which provides flowcharts which also function usefully as a checklist. And I rather like the flowcharts. I'll just show you them here. They're actually right at the back. There we go, we've got those there. They're quite useful because they give you obviously some pictorial idea of the pretty complicated procedures involved. So if you're in any way professionally involved in this specialist area, this latest edition of the definitive and authoritative work will help you, in our view, give you the clout and authority to your arguments, and should definitely be added to your much acquired list for your library. As I say, it's based on the law and the LMAA terms in force as at June 2009, so it's a little older now, but it's still very current, and it remains an indispensable reference tool for London maritime arbitration. So thank you to the team, to Informa. It's a great new addition, with the new edition, of course, the third one, to the shipping law library. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.